Just so we have that cleared out.
Yeah, I mean, is a hot dog a sandwich?
See, that's the thing.
That is the thing.
Because it's technically just one bun, right?
Yeah, unless you rip it in half.
And then it's going to be a sandwich in my eyes.
Uh-huh.
Because then it's 2 pieces of bread pushed together.
Either way, if there was a level of which map is the tastiest, I think Skyscraper, it has barbecue and it has sushi and it has a kitchen. Cafe has a kitchen. Chalet has a kitchen.
Yeah. It's definitely more
Club has a
flavor
kitchen,
here.
but I wouldn't trust any... Oregon even has a kitchen, but I wouldn't trust anything from it.
Club also has a kitchen.
Yeah, also, there's a lot of kitchens in Siege. There's not a lot of bathrooms, though.
There is also a lot of bathrooms.
No, there's not a lot. There's way less bathrooms than there is kitchens. The new Nighthaven map does not have a bathroom.
Maybe it's locked behind doors, because we all know that actual
I feel
doors
like
cannot
they
open.
really should have bathrooms in Nighthaven. For all the budgets that they have, for like, oh, look, I'm Carly, I've got cool guns. Oh,
She
look.
has been arrested, though, so maybe,
I may.
you know,
Yeah,
that
she got
is
arrested.
why there's
Like
no more
Vera.
budget to actually get the...
If you haven't seen it, there's a new cutscene.
Yeah, there is.
Hey, these bands, less funky. Way less funky.
Yep.
These are pretty standard setup bands. The double electric restriction, okay, maybe you don't really expect that. You might have even potentially put Wamai there instead of the Bandit or the Kaid. I think you can really swap either. Hatches aren't the biggest drive here. You're looking at a couple of sort of flat walls that become the big problems. The way that a lot of teams love to attack this map, you'll see the top 2 sites are generally the 2 that you'll see the most, and you sort of take it across the half. You treat it a little bit like Villa, where you isolate stair sets, get yourself in on the top floor on the opposite south, and then just sort of clear your way across.
To some extent, it kind of feels like it's 2 separate buildings, right? And that big white wall that you have between Dragon and Drum, or Terrace and Drum, that is that big divider. Now, it does bleed into each other a bit more the further we get in the development of Skyscraper. But either way, that is how you often treat it. Now, as the extension comes through to the office, it is just to make sure you waste as much time as you possibly can to stop MNM from truly pushing in, so those externals are going to be locked off. Limit them through mostly windows and a couple of doorways that they would have to jump through, or even ascend some of the staircases. And as MNM is coming through, they do start on the exhibition site. Instantly hopping in towards the bedroom area. Tyrant hoping to clear out any potential roamers that would be downstairs. And Solus is not on the board, and you can find out due to the fact that there's already pre-placed drones. I mean, she's on the board, just not being played right now.
Yeah. Here it is. The quick bit of pressure towards that. As I said, you'll sort of try and get some clarity. Tyrant's in a couch position. He was hoping somebody might rotate underneath because, well, they could. That's the sort of meat of it. Is the takeaway is a lot of it is often flat, and some teams might find themselves taking a bit of a risky drop, a bit of a risky rotation. It's a long route on your way back through. There's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of places to hide the players. So instead, pull back with the support structure you have in place. They take themselves a bit of control here on the opposite end, and this is the next point of ingress. Rise, holding onto that shield to swing around from the side of that, the canopy that drops down, the extension towards Drum. That's what we talk about, of the separation of map A to map B, is that exact line Rise is now the front line of.
It's literally being broken open now by those breaching charges coming through. They're hoping to give themselves as many opportunities to challenge Rise and Mowgli, who are holding off that border between the 2 parts of the map. Now, flashbangs are coming through. Rise is going to be completely blind. You should be able to act on the back of this, and the Gaunt 6 will be used to potentially get rid of that shield, but I believe it has failed. And that means that Rise, now able to see again, has the opportunity to continue contesting any way these attackers come from.
Yeah, this is what we talk about this map being a little bit slow on the attack. It's 2 minutes, and they've only really been able to get themselves circled around. The pressure on Geisha, the pocket EMPs are going to be able to pop open that wall, and they find P4 on the back end of it. Geisha's dropped, Nello gets Rise. They've retaken this control very quickly. Users swinging around onto Mowgli at the same time. Blackstairs is now that sort of back end of pressure. Shinka, he's tucked himself in towards the site itself, and now he's the only one left holding on. But as he's caught out in karaoke, watched, he's trying to sing his favorite song of survival, but instead has to slip and slink his way down back towards Black. Drops himself, gets caught out. The smoke is just going to force out the position on goal, but he's watched by the drone. They know exactly where he is. He has nowhere he can really go at this point. They just have to watch the corridor. MNM open with technically their 5th round in a row.
I'm kind of confused on what exactly happened there. I mean, P4 is the first to fall in Geisha. That happens. But what we saw earlier is that border we spoke about was being defended by Mowgli on Drum, by Rise up on the topper of Dragon, and Mowgli just disappeared. He's gone. And suddenly Nello has an opportunity to just walk in, take down Rise, and then you're just confined to the side.
What I wonder, and what I'm curious about, is if Mowgli rotated back
That's what I think.
towards the main stairs, is where I think he died from, or if he took the drop down the canopy to see if he could get underneath and maybe do some damage, when people started dying, tried to rotate his way back up, because it was very swift. As soon as Geisha fell,
Yeah.
you saw a lot.
But that's it. I think indeed Mowgli fell back towards the main stairs to see if he could try and hold onto Geisha with like the wall and just firing underneath. That is being portrayed right now by the Observer. Is it medics or is it easy?
Medics.
Medics. Okay.
I think.
Medics. Yes.
Medics.
It's medics. So him removing himself from the equation there, that really allowed Nello to instantly take the space, take down Rise, and then suddenly there's only 2 more rooms you need to be clearing out as the attackers. So well done by MNM, like all credit to them. And just that one rotation basically completely collapsed whatever was left of the defense there. So it's good to see that MNM was able to act on that so quickly. 1-0, 2 minutes 30. Phone call coming out. Bibu has to fall back slightly because he is on that front line. The phone is going off. He knows he could be hunted. And he definitely is, because Tyrant down below. If he waits a bit longer, could have potentially picked up one of the drops that came through, but I'm not sure if the rotation will stretch as far. It's just P4 chilling around the bar, holding on tight.
That's it. That's the slight change at this point. Wolves, they've opted for one sort of minor difference that we can see so far, in that they're not all prepped and stacked up in the same sort of lock-off position on the second story. Instead, they've got themselves a bit of a stretch, and Tyrant's going to sort of make a speech about it, but P4 hasn't bucked off entirely. He's still blocked off a bit of that approach. He's still watching and monitoring, can rotate up the main stairs if he so chooses, but there might be a little bit more pressure here coming towards Rise. You can see at least 2 stacked up. There's a drone caught out by the mute jammer on the back end. And as I said, it's such an important power position for them to play.
Geisha again to be opened up as Rise is hoping to not be abandoned this time, and surely that call has been made. The adaptation will be coming through. Flashbangs in to stop any form of magnets out there. The shield this time will fall, and that is going to be making Rise's job a little bit more difficult than it was last time. So he falls back. He abandons the position this time, which means that Mowgli is now left alone.
That's the thing. When you know that it's only really mute jammers, they're going to be stopping the approach of electrics. It makes things very easy for pocket EMPs on the approach. They're going to get Geisha open, regardless of what happens. At this point, they're going to see if they can try and pull themselves back. Mowgli with the pre-fire round, but he's just going to pull himself back in. The pings on the single player watching that. Oh. And it's Solotov that does a huge job, gets the first, cannot quite get the full bite of Mowgli on the second, who tucks himself back round into karaoke. They have the stretch from 45 seconds. What can they now do with it, MNM?
Should have been the second kill there, but the wall just blocking the line of sight just slightly. But that extra man advantage should be crucial. But Rise just rotating into Geisha, takes down Solotov before he gets shut down himself. So that round is at least being retaken by MNM.
There is still a player underneath. P4 prepped with a C4. He's ready to see if he can try and get the back end of this, but he has to make his appearance at the right possible time. 20 seconds, 3 versus 3. They've got to see if they can try and strong arm their way into the site at this point. Neo, he's holding off a bit of a swing angle as he's going to see if he can step his way in. There goes Mowgli, down and now out. They've got themselves dropped in. The C4 pops, not at the right place. There's the reveal and the rotate up the stairs. There's the bite back round. It's M&M's. Somehow that final call came at the dying end, and if they'd have backed off, that would have been
good for pushing through. That is definitely it. They found themselves an opening. Again, they stayed calm. They stayed patient. They slowly solved the puzzle by moving the chess pieces around the board and seeing if there's an opening they can spot to checkmate Wolves. And that's what they did there. Except for the last, well, attempt from P4 to C4 not catching anybody out. He finds it down from the main stairs, but after that his position is known and the remaining players will be there for the cover on MNM. And this is something we said during the previous map as well, Emmy. They play as a team. They're always together. It's not like you find that one solo player out there and you have the opportunity to rotate around and find yourself for a second position to strike. Someone is instantly checking it. There's no way of you backing out at that point. And now we change over to the other side of the map. It is going to be Exhibition and Office. Again, the same division of the map still stands, and WOL is going to be fortifying it as they see fit, using Izami.
5 seconds to insertion.
The Frost as well, bringing out the mats to see if anybody can be caught off. But that division hasn't been too successful yet. I mean, they've been able to hold off MNM for massive amounts of time, but then the push also happens elsewhere, and they're not as successful at holding that down. And they're forced back, and suddenly that cloud just favors MNM so much. So far, the attacks, subliminal.
I mean, subliminal.
Is that? That's not the word, is it?
It's sublime.
Sublime.
Subliminal is like a secret message.
It's not a secret message.
Like,
it might be.
Like if you flash
Sublime,
Christmas lights in a certain way
Morse code.
in Morse code,
Yeah.
but you don't tell somebody, and then
But I meant sublime. So it's good. Good attacks coming
We're
through.
learning.
So far. Yeah.
well, let's see if they can try and keep that trainer rolling. To be honest, if P4 had just pulled back, I think they might have been able to take that previous round on time. At least he would have isolated it into sort of 2 1 versus 1s, potentially even just a 1 versus 1, and then pick up the guy planting. It's little moments that aren't quite connecting today from the side of Wolves, where MNM's just been a bit stricter, a little bit more put together on it. The break comes towards the top of the stair set as they once again go for this. As I said, it's the top across clear. You get half of the map under your own lock-in. Mowgli's going to see if he can go for a bit of a rebuild and try and hold on to this. There's a dangerous window on the side of Dragon, and Solotov just drifts by, but nobody quite catches either. There's that dangerous window.
As Tristan said, MNM, they are playing to win it here. They're not leaving anything to be questioned about their intentions of being here right now. They want to take that trophy home. They want to make sure they are the best of EU, and so far it has been showing. Solotov trying to go for the first entry here. He's not quite connecting to P4, who's now stuck behind his little bar. He's trying to play the pixel peek to his advantage right here, and a bit of a teammate is coming in to help as well. Well, so far not finding the entry they were looking for.
I mean, they're just pre-firing either side of this door, and there's users getting the first.
Double.
Solotov tucks with the second. Mowgli finds Tyrant. At least one body back on their end, and now he's going to see if he can get the next on the window. He's under intense pressure, and that wall is going to, for now, stay solid behind him. There's just a bit of support from a mute jam that will mean that they cannot quite get the swing round from the side of the terrarium. Mowgli on the back end, he's doing his best to hold it out here on the swing either side, and there it is, the angle over the top, but look at all of that. That's not going to pop off 30 seconds, and MNM, they've got to try and find a different route through, as Mowgli's able to find one more for the cover for the 2 bodies they took. They've lost 2 on the same swing on that door.
Yeah, the shield Ryan's playing behind here is posing a bit of an issue here for Wolves, because it's going to be stopping them from taking Dragon under control together with that Mew Jammer, but the opening on the side is that going to be causing the double team to come through. Neo and Nello both find success, but it's Mowgli with a quad kill. He needs to find the last. There's 9 seconds left on the board. He is set up for it, and he aces it as well. Wolves, they find the round on the back of the Mowgli ace. As they ran MNM out of time, they forced him to just push through. And as they tried, they found success.
I mean, if there was a moment where you sort of needed Mowgli to do Mowgli things, it was
this
there.
that one.
We saw them holding down Dragon for as long as they could as the Izami. They got the first kill around that swing round. They realized how much pressure was coming through on the other side of a locked wall, so they sort of said, Rise, you stick here, you hold them off. Rotates back, gets himself hopped up inside the site to cover over, as you said, a great angle. He set up himself. He was literally and figuratively plugging the holes throughout that on the approach. Wherever there seemed to be a leak that MNM wanted to put the pressure onto,
Flex tape, man.
It was flex tape. It was putting the cover over. It was making sure they couldn't get the reach through, and then shooting through the covers he was building too. An outstanding round.
Now, we have to say, Dragon, you mentioned it before, but that was, well, not quite right defining as the ace, but it definitely helped, because they couldn't open up that wall. They were having to throw bodies at the problem. Mowgli there to pick them up. Rise still behind that shield, able to, well, again, plug up any hole that could have otherwise been created as well. And with that, they really needed to push in through VIP, which they did, which is finally when it took out Rise, but too much time already wasted, too many men already lost. Mowgli closing them down in the end. That's round 1 for Wolves. They managed to get no more than 2 in the last. Hoping to do better than that here. But the defense has started off little bit rough. Considering MNM has been able to just breach through the borders, we have been talking about quite easily isolate those players, force them back, and suddenly overwhelm wherever they come from. And again, this time they're attacking from the house area, so from the exhibition, from the office. They will be headed over towards Terrace, towards Dragon, to take control of Drum. And the players are there. Again, I mean, nothing is too different compared to the previous 2 times we've seen Wolves defend this. So I'm just gonna wait and see to find out what they've chosen to do to adapt to the style of MNM's attacks.
MNM. Oh, suffering a bit of a scrape through, and there's the soft.
Good
gone.
sound.
Rise, yeah. Got his headphones turned up to maximum. Might not be healthy in the long run, but sure healthy for now. They're going to instead see if they can try and rotate and make sure that if he goes for the same sort of pop-out, he's not going to be as successful. Put some bullets over the bow of the shield. They've won this twice in a row. There's the pop, and there's at least some support and cover. The break comes against the soft wall and gives them that little bit of extra width. Once again, there's now a chance of underneath play by P4. Mowgli's there to support if they need it. 2 players have got to rotate underneath now, but there is also a Lion that's not too far away from them.
Tyron is quite low on HP, and he's aware of the fact that he's being hunted, so he's quickly trying to find himself a way out, or at least a route out. As Solitov finds a double kill. Mowgli and Boo Boo just taking off the board like that, no big deal, and that's going to be allowing MNM to find themselves again with an opportunity to just start hammering down at the side. That's Geisha under control. Now just push onto the main stairs.
Oh, there's one more. He's inside the site. Cannot find the 4th. Shinka stops the run of Solitov, but Rise, he's doing his best to hold on to the opposite end. Downs Tyrant. He should be able to crawl at least to some safety round on the side, and there's Neo with the cover that he needs. Shinka, he's able to bite the second head off. Has to repeat a back-to-back ace of a different Wolves player at this point to try and clutch this round into their favor. Cannot quite find it there. Neo has the connection. MNM 3-1 here on their attacks across the board.
I like you have 2 players just shoulder peeking slightly, and like one gets picked up, the other one backs off after the first sets of shots come through.
Tag in.
And you just have Neo with the DMR, like which is probably like the worst gun to take such a fight. And he just runs by. He's like, "Oh, I'll take down that kill. That's all fine."
Got the one on.
Got
the one onto Rise. Is there to support their friends at the Jiggle Peak corner. I mean, Mowgli being caught out there, I'm not sure if that was just bad timing. There was the fight that was going on the back end of Geisha. They had the angle. You could see that Mowgli was rotating up those stairs mere moments before the disaster struck. And then pushing in to get the 3rd as well. The Azami just had no idea.
It's an unfortunate situation for Wolves to lose 2 players as early on as that, because they definitely had MNM under lock and key to some extent, right? Because there wasn't really anywhere they could have gone anymore, because, you know, that division was being guarded well. Geisha, sure, it was in the process of being opened up, but I mean, even if it's opened up, you don't really have control of it as of yet, so that double opening, that truly elevated MNM and allowed them to just skyrocket into the rest of that round, into the rest of the site, to find success. Now, no Solas has been played yet, I believe, this map.
No.
We see a lot of pre-placed drones being out here for MNM. I'm not saying it will be a solution because we didn't really see the full extent, but if you do manage to take out some of these drones earlier, because there's one underneath the default cam right there, you just saw, they lack that information. That's the kind of default drone Nello used to take the spot of Mowgli in that very first round and take down Rise as soon as his post was abandoned. Gotta take that away from them. You cannot have them have that information for free.
It's been more than enough of a tricky half here as the opener Wolves. If they can try and claw back 2 rounds at this point, that would be, I think, beyond anything. The only round that they've been able to get was an ace.
Yeah.
And that is most of the kills that the team has gotten as well. They're really just struggling to keep a meter on what has been a 5-pronged and pointed brilliant approach here from the side of MNM, really sort of putting truth to the words. Tristan spoke on the desk before where they like to attack this. They love to attack Wolves on this. It seems the pressure coming across. The first time we've obviously seen this site, the first time we've seen a site down on the first floor. Mowgli's going to buy himself a bit of a rotate room back round to the top. As I said, the man at the moment, but he's the first off the board this time.
Solitov played that perfectly, used that keeper barrier to safely reload, instantly back into the fight again. And that's going to be creating an opening here because that's the black stairs open up. But Biba finds a response, takes down Tyrant, and now is hunting down towards Solotov. New. There's still a player on that doorway there, wants to make sure that's locked off, and he cannot play there for free. Whereas the rest of MNM is trying to break through that division, hoping to take Drum under control and take out Rise.
He's just keeping a bit of an eagle eye out. He maybe wants to strike, and that could be a problem that Wolves are seeing if they could get a solution, is strike first. See if they can swing into the positions that MNM's getting set up, which they're doing a lot of here. There's the hop through, and there's Solotov. He's able to get one more for the trouble, pushes them back once again, uses with the pressure on the opposite end. Solotov finds one more, having one of those games where you just sort of want to see what's on his gun and steal it for yourself to see if you can pull the same pops of magic. That's 3 for the round. He is on that 3.0 KD, and he's looking to see if he can get the 4th round here for MNM.
We do have a pre-placed C4, and we have one still in pocket by P4. Both these players are down below, but I believe Shinka just been spotted out by the Gemini Replicator there, so they're aware of what's happening. All they need to do now is find a table to plant on. That's the first to pop off. Shinka, you can start heading back up towards the top floor now. See what you can do. Allow P4 to play his magic. Actually, no, it's down below in Barbecue, so they're hunting it down. They know they're out here. Shinka, the time's about to be running out. You just need to stay alive as MNM is pushing through. They might have mistaken themselves here as well as the time. 2 seconds, 1. It is going to be P4 to close it out in the end. And I believe Wolves was just as mistaken as I was because they were all up on the top floor. They wasted so much utility. And then they just rushed down in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, you're a bit curious what happened there, Eminem. A bit curious. You're able to do all the damage on the top, and then you sort of were droning out the final push. You had a rough idea where the players were. There was prepped ideas and angles. It's one of those moments where you sort of go back and you have to sort of watch what everybody's doing from the top down to be like, what?
I mean, by the amount of people we had upstairs for the majority of the round, you would have been convinced. I was convinced it was the top floor hold.
Oh, I never I thought, because if you're attacking that site, you get control of the top and then try and box your way down. It felt late if that's what MNM were doing, and if that's what they weren't doing, then they were mistaken on where the site was.
Something like that. But okay, well done by Wolves. They managed to stay alive until the final line. I was literally convinced it was top floor.
Yeah,
the C4 is pre-placed for top floor. I was like, okay, surely he's going to be rotating back up now. But no, not the case. It was 30 seconds left at that point for MNM. There was not enough time to go back down towards the ground floor, so well done. Well done by them. And that's tier 3. Back towards the office, the exhibition room, to see if they can make this an even half on the side of Wolves. I was literally about to commend MNM as well by how they managed to open up the full top floor.
Yeah,
and again,
I'll be honest, when you said Shinka can rotate up now, I was thinking, I mean, they could, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I was a bit confused why you were calling that.
I was sure they were going to be in the top floor. That's my bad.
Well, Shinka doesn't need to rotate anyway. Gets the first off the board. Nello is gone. Was at least able to open a wall, but there's now a bit of a problem on the opposite side. That User's is going to have to be the only man that can sort of solve here for the swing round. They've got that restructured, rebuilt. The Gon 6 is going to get rid of both of them, but they're going to pull themselves away. Some of the pocket with the keeper, about 30-ish%, but I'm bad at numbers.
Preparation being done here by MNM, opening up all these barricades to allow themselves easier move through. That's going to be the least of their worries because keeper barriers are set up right behind it, and as soon as they start crossing, the pressure will start to arise. Now, the VIP wall has been opened up again, and that is going to be putting some pressure onto Bibu and Mowgli and Rise, all present inside of Dragon. That is how it felt the last time around when the ace did come through from Mowgli. So that is maybe something they try and bank on again.
Yeah, they're a body down, and it's a rare thing to see here from the side of MNM, especially with how much time has since passed from the other end of that. They've got to try and piece things together, but Mowgli has different ideas. As you said, it was where they pulled the ace before. They're able to keep some of that destruction from this. More than happy to lead and swing around the side. There's a close tuck on the left, and this is what I talked about before. It seems like one of the changes Wolves is making is meeting them with more aggression. They're sort of refusing to let them get set up, and P4's hoping that the gambit of not being droned out is going to work in his favor. I mean, if they find him, they've still got to potentially swing him, or they've got to go for a long rotate. There's the find. There's the reveal. Do they go for the double window and drop out and just sort of spray through the door? Do they see if they can try and do some damage from underneath? Or this? Are they looking for the drone hole? Ooh! It was one of the riskier ways, but at least you know he's not going to shoot back. However, they do not get the kill.
That's the painful part there. They did not have the entry they were hoping for, at least a bit of a return, because they are 2 men down currently. So they really need something to go their way. Users, be careful you do not step in that frost mat. He gives away his position as he goes. And that means it's only up to Neo now. Breaks the keeper barrier, instantly gets pre-fired. It's the flawless round from Wolves. Brings themselves back up to 3-3 in a good position to try and turn that around, bring us to a map 3. If they are able to find their attacks and connect them against the defensive of MNM.
I mean, as I sort of said, at that 3-1 mark, I would be amazed if Wolves pull back the 2 rounds. One of them, you know, I think they were as confused as you are where the site was. That one, MNM definitely fell off a lot. They didn't quite have the same panache that they wanted to sort of drive themselves into the fight with. They were missing, but also Wolves stepped it in. It's the first moment that we sort of saw them in these kind, not hyper-aggressive, but a little bit more aggressive positioning, in that they weren't tucked behind shields and trying to wait for the burn game that we saw in the opening few rounds. They weren't playing so strictly behind the mirror windows. They were a couple of steps ahead. And it took MNM a bit by surprise. You see the kill there onto the stairs at the end, and you're thinking, okay, they're not really sure. It's not a lesson that you can sort of take here, and this is where the lessons need to really be learnt from Wolves. This is going to be a tougher half than their defense, I think, for a lot of people's money. But are MNM a bit disheartened, or do they think they can lock it from here on?
They still have a tactical timeout to use if they do run into trouble, so does Wolves. So nothing is lost as of yet. I believe Users is eyeing to go for a quick jump out. There we go, that's one spot. Goes for it. It's a bit too early, though. Gets spotted out.
A bit too early. Yeah, no one had arrived at that point just yet. Went for something bold and brash to try and open things up, but not rewarded for it. That's one of the parts of this, the approach. Yeah, screw that cabinet.
Just allowing himself to have some nice vision down the line. And make sure the top floor is going to be as protected as possible, and that cabinet does soak up some bullets every now and then. So creating an extra angle might be catching off a unexpected attacker. First gas barricade to be removed is going to be allowing them to start pushing, putting pressure onto Drum. But we're still very busy with droning out the house area of the map, just making sure that exhibition, bedrooms, the office are going to be cleared out, so there's no surprises waiting for them there before they finally start striking towards the place where they actually need to be. Now it is again barbecue and kitchen. This time I'm not caught
You're
off.
aware.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Is Wolves going to be aware this time?
Mowgli still looking for those little pockets of fight that can come from those pixel swings round. There's a huge bit of pressure here onto the Drum player. They do have the big dangerous drop, but it is very likely suicide with the ease of watching it from underneath. Nello does find P4 though, and that's a little bit of that security. As I said, the dangerous drop turns a little bit safer now, especially as you've been able to take a player around from the stock end. You have that cover gone. So the aggressive fight has to come here. Oh, that's still so dangerous. Popping themselves back in. Mowgli suffers the same fate, but MNM, they're able to slip their players back in. They're going to start trying to hold on now to this new back line. They've dropped the first. They've rebuilt the trenches onto the back end of Karaoke. And as gold starts to get opened up, Wolves are still desperately looking for a first.
A minute, and they're still only trying to take control of that top floor. They haven't really tried to take care of the horizontally yet. Mowgli finds Neo, instantly taken out by Users though, as Solotov in the geisha finds one, hoping to go for a second. Locks it off. MNM able to fend them off on the top floor, not really having to worry about barbecue, so the true hold downstairs not fully tested. But again, find themselves in the lead. Start off strong on their defensive half.
Yeah, as soon as the pressure started to come there, I think Wolves realized, they did not have a huge amount of time to make that final piece come together. They were sort of under this mantle of pressure here where they hadn't gotten any control. They weren't quite able to stop this swing round, the pressure that was coming on the opposite end. MNM get that open up. Now they can sort of pull themselves up here to the top floor of the site, and you know, maybe it was one of those situations where Wolves expected it to be this site first. They thought they maybe had a bit more time to get the pressure down. There was the death underneath in stock, not too far away from the site, and at that point you're thinking,
Well, I mean, it's also a Capcan, so it's like, it has a C4. It's not too uncommon of a C4 operator being below, right? It's like, you can toss that up on a little balustrade and then find a kill like that if Geisha, if Drum, sorry, or Upper Drum falls.
10 seconds left.
So, I mean, just that one player doesn't mean enough in that case. But either way, not sure if, again, Wolves just wanted to take top floor first before they start headed down, or if that was the same trap I fell into just a couple of rounds earlier. But we're finding ourselves on the top floor now. So pretty similar kind of hold to come through from what we've seen in the majority of the previous round, with maybe the exception of the Capcan playing down below. However, might also be not a bad shout to have someone down below to make sure that, you know, if someone comes up in one of these staircases, you have an opportunity of knocking him down.
MNM, you've taken a good first round back into this, and as I said, the pressure is entirely onto Wolves to see if they can try and meet the mantle. It's not easy attacking this map. Things get a bit slow, a bit bogged down, and Mowgli might be that man at the moment to start to spark some of that life back in. The pressure onto the gates. They have the stretch. They have these slightly longer angles towards the pixel position. Good is often played, a spray back through. But that wall, the difference here is it's solid. It's locked. There's the jams behind it. They're not going to get the easy breach through. They need Bibu to potentially rotate round with the pocket EMPs. He's making that move now. They're able to find an angle to get that open. Maybe it was shot out from underneath, but either way, minute 20 gone.
Very worried about roamers potentially coming onto the back stairs near house. That is what they're looking out for. No one there, however. Everybody is basically set up on that top floor around the site, making sure that the Wolves will not have a way in. Solotov is going to be taking out some drones. He knows that he's about to be breached here by next to Thermite, but he has the hatch he could use to drop off. If that is going to be problematic, they could just walk all the way back towards safety as well. MNM, they're just holding tight right now, and a minute 10 left on the board, and well, Wolves really haven't made too much progress here.
That's it.
Oh, they wanted to get that barrier, didn't get it.
No, they're trying to find their way through. That wall is staying electrified. They don't have the pocket EMPs to get it dug out, so it's going to have to be this. The grenade round and just gets the catch. They're able to get the pop through. The breach is going to come off. Solotov isn't going to stick around and find out what happens next, though. Instead, pulls back and gets himself a slightly different angle. He's got some solid behind him, but there's nothing solid currently pushing him. Mowgli, he's going to slip his way through. Gets the bulletproof, gets tucked around, is expecting a swing and a fight from somewhere. The pings come across the board. Solotov wins the fight on the window, looking for the next. It's ring around the rosies, but the cover is on the stairs. Shinka does find Solotov inside. Geisha at this point. Rise is trying to knock on the back door of gold. Bibu's going to step in, but Neo has that cover as well, and these split angles are problematic at best, and at worst, it's just Shinka left. The rebuild there, the swing on the stairs, the force of the position, the pre-fire gets the connection onto users, but 15 seconds, and look at that rotate. Azami's not sticking around to find out what happens next. Going to move their way back to black. They've given over the site itself. They're going to sort of say, try and plant. Will swing round and get the cover. The bait on the first, the pull and the rotation onto the second. Neo's round on the corner, 4 seconds. They popped up. There it's Nello. And there's 2 rounds.
Beautiful team play from MNM. Is all you have to say. Like, the aggression from Solotov heading back into Geisha, they wanted to punish it. He finds the first in the window, then the second one is able to just stop anybody from moving through that breach by playing on the main stairs. You have the other example where you want to pre-fire one angle and suddenly the one that is just slightly wider also has a player in it. That is the kind of stuff you want to see on a defense like this. MNM perfectly playing that out as a team, which is their strength. And all you can do is commend it. And they finally find themselves on 3-5, 2 more rounds away again from a map, but this time it would also mean the game. Put them in the grand finals of the European League. 2 more rounds.
I mean, it's a hell of a way to get there.
It is definitely. I mean, they've been very dominant this game so far.
I mean, you know, the expectations, I think, for a lot of people were a Wolves BDS final tomorrow, a bit of a grudge match revenge for what happened at the major. Because for a lot of people's monies, at that major, the team that Wolves had to beat was BDS. And any other team should have been theirs. As it's been said, they're one of the best teams over the previous year. They've grown and grown, and MNM have been scrappy, and they've been at majors, and they've been set up in these situations. But at the same time, we expected, I think, a bit more from Wolves here.
I mean, the funny thing is, you just start thinking about things the teams are known for this year. Wolves is known for being at every major this year. MNM is known for losing 1v4s on the random occasion. You know? It's funny how those things differ, but MNM, they've really managed to climb out of that. They've really started to tighten up on their attacks and their defenses, which has been quite successful for them, to say the least, as they find themselves 2 rounds away from making it to the grand finals.
They're prepping themselves now, seeing if they can just hold on. The same work the Azami did before. The architect really coming into the architecture of this map. They are making sure that holes are continually plugged on the opposite end. The pre-fire onto the window, the stress and the pressure of a player that's going to pull themselves back a little bit. You can see Wolves are sort of prodding, picking apart at particular angles and seeing if there's anything that lies underneath it. Neo's tucked himself back into drum. He realizes that the pressure is sort of multifaceted. Shinker, in the meantime, he's going over to the opposite end. There's pings on the player, the one stuck at the top of Black Stairs. It's been there quite a while, but I think even they at this point have realized just how much is coming their way. And look at this, instantly tucked out, tucked around. Gold has now fallen, and Wolves once again have been able to get control over half of the top floor, but around the same time, and it sort of fell apart before. Solotov's going to make sure it starts that exact way again. Mowgli gone.
Man's just on fire right now. There's no stopping him. Like, you need to be doubling down to take out Solotov. Taking a head-on-head gunfight, you're not going to be winning that most of the times. I mean, he's died 6 times, but he's gone way more kills than that. People slowly rotating around. He's hoping to move unseen or unheard, potentially to play from that window, shut down anybody that's playing near the little rotation area. But as drones come through, Wolves, they need to be breaking the division of the map here to find that success they're looking for. And Rise already looking, he's afraid of someone pushing a back up from the top. And as they drone out, could be confirming no one is indeed there. Rise can now start continuing, hammering down on Terrace.
I mean, it's what makes this so awkward. That wall getting popped open, that's a pretty big blow for the defense here, and the swing round. The Jam did not quite just get that, but yeah, the impact, and there's the rebuild once again, the pressure, the Gon 6 on the far end, but there's some suffering from Bibu, but Shinka getting the break onto the wall. 30 seconds, and Wolves, they've suddenly gone from 0 to 100, and they're going to see if they can try and get somebody behind it, but Neo tucked and ready to drop the close angle to fight itself. P4, he's able to just get a snap to the second. They've got eyes towards the site. Can they try and get the cover of the blinds and get that kit down? What seemed impossible up to this point. There's the Azami inside, looking for the instant swing round. There it is. They're dropped down from the opposite cover. There's the cover, and there is MNM pushing themselves to map and series point. 3 defenses in a row.
Again, like, perfectly played by MNM. They fall back as soon as the pressure gets too high. They start locking down the actual site. They played in pairs. They do not peek alone. There's always there someone to follow up, and just a little bit of unexpected aggression onto the players of Wolves as well, suddenly swinging out just a meter more than they might have expected. That is what is making them win these gunfights. There's also Solotov just you know, not completely locked down on the side. He's slightly offside, slightly on their own, but he's able to find these important opening kills. Is really doing in Wolves right now. And now a potential last round. We're headed back towards the barbecue and kitchen as the full rotation has been completed. Of course, there is 4 sites on the map, but house doesn't often get played here, which is the bathroom, the bedroom, that kind of area. This doesn't get played often, so barbecue and kitchen has a bit more security to it, which is why it is being played right now by MNM. I mean, they've already been able to get a victory here. Quick impact use on the VIP wall as well might make them afraid of a potential run out. Capcan traps on windows is not often something you see, but it's all there to stop any quick pushes coming through. It starts with a house clear, with the top floor clear on the eastern side. That is how Wolves is looking to win this round. Last time they did this, they lost plenty of time. They did not have enough time to actually make it to the site before MNM was able to, well, basically run them out of manpower.
MNM so close to pulling themselves into the final tomorrow against whoever takes it in the next showing. They're looking like they want it more than anything at this point, and fair enough. Sure, anyone that is close to the players will maybe be expecting a little bit more of the presents that they might receive around this potential holiday time of the year. But it's not just about that.
Not just. The Wolves, they might make their stay a bit shorter than they hoped it would be. After their recurrent major performances. Now, Neo's receiving a bit of pressure from either side. It's not directly gunfire yet, but it's pressure in terms of buddies and drones rolling through. Mowgli is looking to take the first gunfight here. Doesn't get the full lock on. Takes out of the shield, but I believe they're stuck behind the drum now.
No,
that are rotated off.
Yeah, just rotated off there. As soon as I think they heard the swing of the breach, they knew that they had a split second before the gun would be back out. Take the rotate, take the time, don't try and swing into it. It was almost that gift. It was almost the best they could have. Mowgli just missed out on the opportunity to get the swing round, and that quick response from MNM, which has been a big consistent of the day, almost actually bit him right back. Bibu gets stacked up towards the side of Geisha. The break comes through onto the territory. They're going for this control above, and what they're doing different this time is getting some of that width early. We saw a very heavy presence across the board before. I say early, in terms of actually getting into the gunfights that follow. They still have the situation potentially underneath. They've got this, the spray round. Neo rotates off, a bit of a cover comes through, but look at the difference. MNM, they've been forced out of this because of that Geisha break.
Well, that's also it, but also that's not the actual side, so they just start falling back to the actual side. You just wasted a minute 20 trying to get side control. You still don't have it. Solita finds the first, and basically they need to start all over again, but now a floor down, and they do not have the time for this. They need to go for brute force. Neo finds one. There's only 3 more left on the side of Wolves to keep them in it. Are they going to be able to succeed?
Rise gets a great take behind Bar and is going to see if he can try and pop up and get another, but 15 seconds. They've just got to try and drop, hope, and really hope as they hold F and see if they can get the kit down the blinds round the swing, and the kit drops out of it. It is a 4 versus 1, but Bibu, even he can't make that work. MNM, what a performance and what a day to take them past the Wolves. The team that a lot of us expected it, but they'll be keeping their eyes towards Asai. And MNM, they'll have their eyes firmly locked on the game that's up next on tomorrow.
Yeah, they will be finding out who their opponents will be for the Grand Finals that will be taking place tomorrow to find out if they can also get their, well, throne gilded for the next season's intro. But that was a very dominant performance we saw from MNM there. Wolves not really able to connect at all to whatever was being tossed at them, whereas MNM, they played like a team. Like, they played as a unit, just tossing themselves at Wolves, and they found massive success.
It was so well connected. It was everything that they needed to do today, and I think that they've sort of put a big statement out. Wolves, unfortunately, it wasn't their day, but as we said, they still have their side to try and look forward to. And what we have is a quick break before we're back with the desk to break that down.